Sounds good.
Good to go, Mike.
Okay, good morning, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 9 o'clock. Stephanie, would you please take attendance?
Of course, good morning. Ava Bermudez Zimmerman has not joined us yet. Ellen McKitterick.
Present.
Alice Pritchard has not joined us yet. Mike Saltis
Present?
and Holly Williams.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. The first item is to review and approve the minutes from the August 1st, 2023 meeting. You would take a moment and review them, and I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second Holly.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
I'd just like to note that Alice has joined us. Good morning, Alice.
And Ava as well. She's joining us right now.
Terrific.
Ah, terrific. Okay, let's move to the next item on the agenda, a private plan audit and policy update. Michael.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start with the second half of that topic, the policy update. That's pretty short. At the moment, we're in a bit of a holding position with respect to the two policies that the board voted to post in last month's board meeting. Those were the private plan policy revisions and then the finance accounting manual revisions. They were both posted for public comment in the August 22nd edition of the Connecticut Law Journal. And we gave them until September 22nd, gave the public until September 22nd for comments or questions. So we'll be waiting for that time to arrive. So really nothing else to do on the policy front. With respect to the private plan audits, we did hit a bit of a milestone. Audits were completed for 2 of the 3 initial private plans that we had launched. The application audit and the contribution audit were both completed. And they were both generally clean audits. So more important, I think, than the specific results of those audits, I think the team are cautiously optimistic that the process seems to be working okay. I have no doubt that we'll have sort of minor shifting of the process or other tweaks, mostly around how we communicate what we need from employers and from the insurance carriers if they're involved, more than any sort of overall topics. But so some tweaks to that and maybe about how we review the plans, but generally I think it's working as intended so far. I mean, still early, only 2 of them are done so far. So I'm sure we'll still continue to have learnings. The third of the 3 audits that we launched, that's still ongoing, the claims audit. I think we're just coming to an understanding that those audits are going to be a bit more complex than the others. There's a few additional steps. And so just may always be that claims audits take a little bit longer than the other 3 audit types. But still, so far, so good on that audit. As far as next steps with the private plan audits, we do plan to launch 3 more audits this week, send the notices out, if not this week, maybe next week. These are partially in response to the large number of private plans that continue to contribute to the public program after their exemption under the private plan existed. So trying to get a handle on that. So the employers that we chose for these 3 upcoming audits came from a list of employers that continue to contribute, and they're sort of randomly selected from that list. Hopefully we can get a better understanding of the circumstances of why they continue to contribute to us when they had the private plan exemption. Definitely for these 3 employers, but maybe understand the larger issue and what sort of is going on, and maybe come up with other ideas to tackle that problem outside of the audit front. So we're looking forward to that. One final note, I do want to thank the private plan audit team, both the members of my team in the law department, and then also Amber and Aaron, as we work through this. This is no one's primary responsibility. No one is solely dedicated to private plan audits. We're all doing this in addition to all the other tasks. So I really do appreciate the entire team's effort around audits. So that's basically it for me. It was just a brief update, though I am happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael? No, okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next item. Report on UConn study of authorities' remote work. Erin, would you please lead the discussion on that topic?
Thank you so much. So Doreen Hatmaker, who is an associate professor in the UConn School of Public Policy, had contacted us a while back. Her overall focus is on how individuals within organizations interact and make sense of their relationships, and how those interactions and relationships influence their behavior. And she was interested in doing a study of the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority as an entity in state government that is unusual in that we're really almost 100% virtual, and wanted to know how our choice to stay virtual has influenced our operations, but also the workers' sense of inclusion, engagement, and work-life balance. She began, after getting all the approvals necessary for researching live beings in a scholastic setting, she did interviews this spring. 74% of our staff employees who were invited to participate in interviews did participate. We made it optional for folks. And those interviews occurred in March and April. She's finalizing her report, but she gave me her initial responses. And her initial conclusion is that remote work is working for us. Our staff in general feel that while in-person interactions are nice to have, and they're generally welcomed, they are not necessary, and certainly are not impeding our operations in any way. The lack of them is not impeding our operations. A couple of interesting findings that are helping us in our efforts to drive engagement internally. First is that most of our staff joined because they believe in and support the mission of Paid Leave Authority. So there's a real mission focus to our entire staff. Some folks also reference this challenge of starting something from scratch. Our staff reported feeling empowered, valued, and connected. The number one pro for working from home was the lack of a commute. But in particular, not just the sort of time associated with a commute, but the lack of stress associated with dealing with a commute and dealing with that extra time in the morning and the afternoon, trying to get out of the house, deal with all your family obligations in the morning and in the afternoon. So it's really that there was much less stress involved in their lives. So, they had that time they could just start work kind of already at an even keel instead of ticked off and overwhelmed. People felt it was actually more efficient to be remote. And one thing that Professor Hatmaker pointed out is that Teams is definitely the glue that keeps it all together. It helps with our communication. It helps with our efficiency. We have developed sort of unwritten standards about kind of using the Teams chat function if it's a quick question, or to say, hey, call me when you're free. Using email for more formal things that need to be more documented or take more time. And we do a lot of our work with cameras on. We're a very camera on organization, so it is still face to face. And all of those things have resulted in people feeling engaged, empowered to do the work that they need to do, and in ways that it's more efficient. There was a quote. Someone said, when you're in the office and someone comes to your office and says, hey, do you have a minute? It's really hard to say no. And it's also really hard to get them out of your office when you're done with the conversation. With Teams, it's a lot easier to have those interactions. So, so there's an efficiency bonus to us working from home, which I thought was interesting. She's in the process of drafting a full report, not just sort of sharing her initial outcomes. And I will share that with the board when I get that. But as this is the Policy and Personnel Committee and it's a personal matter, I wanted to give you that update.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments, observations?
I have a quick question, Erin. Is she gonna publish her results publicly, or were you one organization of a broad cross-section of organizations, and then she'll synthesize it all and then publish? I just wanted to know if we could kind of share it.
So she was focusing just on us for this particular case study. And so she is drafting a report. Whether she decides to turn that case study into something broader, I don't think she's made a decision yet. So this is kind of, and so I don't know kind of if the case study as a standalone will be widely published, or if this is just going to be a case study that goes into further research.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I think this is a topic that's obviously very timely. Companies all over the country are evaluating pros and cons, so it's interesting to get some, customized feedback on the authority in particular, as opposed to general information. Okay, so let's move on to the next item. Erin, would you lead us in the discussion regarding the Auditors of Public Accounts report?
So as you all know, the auditors of public accounts have a responsibility to audit all state agencies, but they also audit quasi-public agencies. It's a different audit than the audits that are done by outside financial firms, where they focus not just on the finances, but also on compliance with our internal policies and statewide rules. And so the auditors did an audit of our 2020-2021 operations. They identified 4 findings, each of which really relate to documentation or a lack of documentation, as opposed to anything more significant or serious. In each of those situations, they related to a time when we were very early on and kind of moving very, very fast. And we have already taken steps to correct those issues, to put in place procedures so that there would not be repeat findings. So, while it is always valuable to have an outside entity kind of come in and check up and make sure that we're staying on even keel, we were very pleased that they recognized all the hard work we've done as an organization in consultation with our sister agencies to make sure that kind of had a firm foundation under us before we went too far as we were building our program. So if anyone had any questions about we did send the audit out to everyone. So if anyone had any questions about any of the particular findings or about any of our remedial actions, please let us know.
Any questions or comments for Erin? Okay, Erin, I have a question for you. So this was, as you noted, for fiscal years ending June 30, 20 and 21. Is there another ongoing audit for subsequent years?
Nothing has started yet. They have told us that it is likely that they'll do the 22-23 audit probably starting next spring or summer. They have a relatively small team and a lot of entities to audit, plus the some federal audits. So, it is relatively common in my experience that you get a gap before they come back again.
Right. Okay. Okay, thank you for that report. Let's move on to old business. Does anyone have any old business they would like to raise? Hearing none, we'll move on to a new business. Anyone have any new business they would like to raise? And hearing none, we will move on to the last item, which is adjournment. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. It is 9:15 a.m. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.